Trigonometry, the study of triangles. In this video, you will learn when to apply Pythagoras theorem, Sohcahtoa, sine rule, cosine rule in trigonometry. When are you expected to apply Pythagoras theorem? Number 1. The triangle must be a right-angled triangle. That is, one of the angles must be 90 degrees. Number 2. To apply Pythagoras theorem, the internal angles of the right-angled triangle is negligible. That is not our concern. Number 3. A right-angled triangle usually have 3 sides. The longest side is the side facing the right angle. To efficiently apply Pythagoras theorem, you must always identify the longest side first. Number 4. Once you have identified the longest side, here it is C. Write it out. Next, you are going to square it. Next, you are going to put an equal sign. Next, the 2 remaining sides, you are going to square each and sum both of them. This is Pythagoras theorem. Number 5. To apply Pythagoras theorem, 2 sides of the right-angled triangle must be known, and 1 side is usually unknown. The first step to solve this is to identify the longest side. The longest side is usually the side facing the right angle. The next step is to write out the value of the longest side. The next step is to square it. The next step is you're going to square each of the remaining side. After squaring each of them, then you're going to add them both. Next, we are looking for C and not the square root of C. Square across the equal sign becomes a squared root. Using a calculator, we can finish this up. What we need to do here is to type the square root. 5 squared plus 12 squared, and we're going to get 13. Our C is equal to 13. Let's find the length of this base. The first step is to identify the longest side, which is the side facing the right angle, and it will be squared. The next step is to square each of the remaining side and add them. Next is to isolate B. Hence, 9 squared need to move, and on the other side it will become a minus 9 squared. Next, to isolate B, we're going to take the square root of the other side. Next, using our calculator, we're going to have the square root of 15 is 225, and the square of 9 is 81, and here we're going to have 12, and the base is 12. How do you identify an unknown right-angled triangle? We know that when we square the longest side, it's going to be the same answer when we square the remaining side and add them. 10, 24 and 26. Let us square 26. We're going to have 676. The remaining side, we're going to have 10 squared plus 24 squared, and we're going to have the same answer. Hence, this is a right-angled triangle. Let's find the length of the ladder. The ladder is facing the right angle. Hence, we're going to have square root 9 squared plus 4 squared. If we press the equal sign and we now change it to decimals, we're going to have 9.85 to 2 decimal places, and your unit will be in meters. When to apply basic Sohcahtoa in trigonometry. Number 1. The triangle under consideration must be right-angled. Number 2. An angle must be involved. Since a right-angled have only 3 sides, the side facing the right angle is always known as the hypotenuse, and this is the longest side. Next, the side facing the angle is always known as the opposite, and the remaining side is always known as the adjacent. Always look out for the opposite and hypotenuse first. Any remaining side is the adjacent. To apply Sohcahtoa, we just need only 2 sides and 1 angle, unlike Pythagoras, where we need the 3 sides. Here, we just need only 2 sides and 1 angle. If we know the value or the length of the side facing the angle, and also we know the value of the hypotenuse, which is the longest side, then we're going to use the sine ratio, which is opposite over hypotenuse. However, if we don't know the opposite, but we know the hypotenuse and the adjacent, then we're going to use the cosine ratio, which is adjacent over hypotenuse. If we don't know the length of the hypotenuse, but we know the length of the opposite and the adjacent, then we're going to use the tangent ratio, which is opposite over adjacent. To always remember these ratios, we use Sohcahtoa, where the S is for sine, the C is for cosine, and the T is for tangent. To apply Sohcahtoa, you are either looking for a missing length or a missing angle. Here we have an angle. The first step is to identify the hypotenuse, which is the longest side. The longest side is the side facing the right angle. Hence, 12 centimeters is the hypotenuse. Next, the side facing the angle is the opposite. Here, we don't have a given opposite. That length will not be our concern. Having identified the hypotenuse and the opposite, any remaining side becomes the adjacent. Whenever you have the adjacent and the hypotenuse. Hence, we're going to use the cosine ratio, which is the cosine of the angle is equal to the adjacent value divided by the hypotenuse value. Next, we're going to substitute. Our cosine angle is 38. Next, we're going to isolate y, and 12 will move to multiply. Next, let's find the value of y. 12 multiply the cosine of 38. Then we're going to have 9.46 centimeters, which is the adjacent. And this is when you have a given side, a given angle, and one side missing. In this question, you have two given sides, but a missing angle. Identify the hypotenuse, which is the longer side, but the hypotenuse is missing. Next, we're going to identify the opposite. The opposite is 5 millimeters. Any remaining side is usually the adjacent. We have the adjacent and the opposite. When you have the opposite and the adjacent, we're going to use the tangent ratio, which is opposite over adjacent. For a missing hypotenuse, we're going to use the tan ratio. Here, millimeter will take away millimeters. Next, 5 divide by 8. If we change this to decimals, we're going to have 0.625. Next, we are looking for the angle Z. Hence, tan will move to the other side. And on the other side, tan will become tan inverse. Next, with your calculator, we're going to press Shift tan. And inside a bracket, we're going to put 0.625. Close the bracket and press the equal sign. And our answer is 32 degrees. We have found the missing angle with the tan ratio. Let's find the missing angle. The first step is to identify the longer side, which is the hypotenuse. Next, we're going to identify the opposite, which is the side facing the angle. The adjacent is unknown. With two given sides, when you have the opposite and the hypotenuse, you're going to use the sine ratio, which is opposite divided by hypotenuse. Next, centimeters will take away centimeters. Next, 13 divided by 15. We're going to have 0.8667 to 4 decimal places. Next, we're going to isolate Q. Hence, sine will move to the other side to become sine inverse. Using your calculator, we're going to press Shift sine. Then inside the bracket, we're going to put 0.8667. Then we're going to close the bracket, press the equal sign, and you see we have 60 degrees. When to apply basic sine rule in trigonometry. We can apply the sine rule to any triangle. Our aim is on two sides and two angles. Here we have two sides and also two angles, but one of the angles is unknown. With this, we're going to apply sine rule. When we have two known sides of a triangle, one given angle and one unknown angle. In such a case, we're going to have sine of one of the known angles divide by the side that the angle is facing. Here it is 10. This is sine of the other angle divide by the facing length of the considered angle. Next, we are going to simplify to make y the subject. To isolate y, 16 will move to multiply everything here. The next step is the sine will move to become sine inverse of everything here. Y is now isolated. Next, we're going to simplify this. Let's pull out our calculator. We're going to have shift sine, and inside this bracket we're going to have divide 16 multiply by sine. Inside the bracket we're going to have 34. Close this bracket. Then at the denominator we're going to have 10. Next, we're going to close the bigger bracket. If you omit any of the brackets, you're going to have a syntax error. Next, we're going to press the equal sign, and the angle is 63.47 to 2 decimal places, and the unit is in degrees. And also remember that the centimeters with the 16 at the numerator will cancel out the centimeters with the 10 at the denominator. Another condition to apply the sine rule: when you have two known angles, one given side and one missing side. If one side is in meters, then the other side will also be in meters. But in this question, we don't know the unit. We're going to start with sine of a known angle divided by the value of the side facing the angle, and here it is x. Next, this is equal to the sine of the other known angle divided by the value of the side facing the angle. Next, we are going to simplify the result. Here, we are going to cross multiply. In cross multiplying, 7 will multiply sine 80, while x will multiply sine 60. Next, we are going to isolate x. Sine 60 will move to the other side to divide. Next, we are going to solve for x. Let's pull up our calculator. First, I will click the division. 7 multiply sine 80. Close the bracket. At the denominator, we're going to have sine 60. Ensure you close the bracket, else you're going to have syntax error. Then you press the equal sign, and x is 7.96 to 2 decimal places. We can't include any unit because we don't know the unit for 7 or for x. When to apply basic cosine rule in trigonometry. We can apply cosine rule to any of the triangles, and very common when it is not a right angled. Most often it involves 3 sides and 1 angle. Let's consider the first situation where we are going to apply the cosine rule. When you have 3 given sides and 1 unknown angle, you can apply the cosine rule. Unlike in sine rule, where we need 2 angles and just only 2 sides. For cosine rule, you must start with the side facing the angle. The side facing the angle is 7. Next, you are going to square it. Next, you are going to square each of the remaining side and then add. You can see that this looks like Pythagoras theorem, but the cosine rule looks like an extension. We're going to use a minus. Then we're going to have 2 multiply by 9 multiply by 5. Then we're going to multiply this by the cosine of this angle. You see, in cosine rule, we started with this length facing the angle, which is 7, and we ended with the angle itself. This is cosine rule. Remember, this minus is affecting everything here. Next, 7 squared is 49. Next, 9 squared is 81, and on the other side of the equal sign is going to be minus 81. Next, 5 squared is 25. On the other side of the equal sign is going to be minus 25. 2 times 9 times 5 is 90. This minus is still here. 49 minus 81 minus 25 will give you minus 57. Next, minus 57 we divide minus 90. Next, minus will cancel out minus. Next, to isolate x, cosine will move to become cos inverse on the other side. To find the angle of x, on the calculator, you're going to press Shift cosine. Inside the bracket, you put a division. 57 will divide 90. Then you close the bracket. You press the equal sign. And here we're going to have 50.70. If we round it up, we're going to have 51 degrees. X is 51 degrees. In another instance, where you can apply the cosine rule. You apply the cosine rule when you have a given angle, 2 known sides, and 1 unknown side. The first step is to identify the position of the angle, whether you're given the angle or not. Next, start with the value opposite the angle. Here, we're going to start with x. Next, square the number. Next, square each remaining side. Then, you add both of them. Remember, this looks like Pythagoras theorem. Next, we're going to have 2 multiply 8.8 multiply 9.2. Next, we're going to multiply this with cosine of the given angle. You see, like before, we started with the side facing the angle and we ended with the angle. Next, we're going to isolate x, and square on the other side will become a square root. Next, we're going to simplify this further. To simplify this, let's pull up our calculator. The first thing is we're going to press the square root. Next, we're going to have 8.8 squared. Next, a plus, then 9.2 squared. Next, we're going to include the minus. This is where you need to be careful, because the minus will affect everything inside this bracket. 2 multiply 8.8 multiply 9.2 give us 161.92. Next, still inside the bracket, we're going to multiply this with cosine. Now you have to be very careful here. The cosine came up with an open bracket, hence we're going to have 110. We're going to close that bracket, which came from this first bracket. If you don't close that bracket, you end up having syntax error. Next, we're going to press the equal sign, and you see our x is 14.75 to 2 decimal places. Always remember to use the cosine rule. The 3 sides of the triangle must be involved and 1 angle. If this video was helpful, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. To locate other helpful videos, follow the link on the screen. I will see you in the next video lesson.